This video has spoilers for the Suicide Squad. Do not watch this video if you have not seen the movie. So I'm sure you've heard of the most recent DCU movie, The Suicide Squad. Actually, you might not have heard of it due to the fact that Warner Brothers had such shit marketing for the film. But the movie is directed by James Gunn. You probably know this, but he was the director of Guardians 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And they are some of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Especially Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So I was obviously very excited for The Suicide Squad. And yeah, I watched it and I really liked it. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a comic book movie this much. The last time I remember having this much fun doing a comic book movie was probably Guardians 2. It isn't saying that there has been better comic book movies that have come in the past 4 years that are better than Suicide Squad. There are obviously some that are better like Logan and Infinity War. But even though those are really good movies, I personally had a lot more fun while watching The Suicide Squad. And enjoyment is a subjective thing, and by that I mean I was entertained more. There's a difference between that type of shit. But before I talk about why I love the Suicide Squad so much, I want to give some of my criticisms that I have first. Because this movie is not perfect. My first criticism is I didn't like the way they handled Amanda Waller. In this movie, she was a fucking psychopath. I get she's meant to be a bad person, however, she was literally about to blow up all the heads of the Suicide Squad members because they were going to stop and defeat Starro. Like, come on, lady, Starro could clearly become a problem later. I felt that was bad characterization to give for her in this movie. Also, I just felt that some of the jokes didn't land. I get that humor is a subjective thing, but out of James Gunn's 3 comic book movies, I felt this one was the least funny. It almost feels like this movie tries way too hard to be funny. Like, there's a little 69 joke in this movie. Come on. I also felt Starro's durability was really inconsistent. For example, bullets cannot penetrate Starro's eye, however, Javelin's weapon can. But that's it for my criticism of the movie. I really liked it. Now time to give why I really liked it. The first thing I loved is it really made it feel like the Suicide Squad. A lot of characters die in this movie, and it's not like they sacrifice themselves, they just die at a cost of battle. It makes me feel like they're truly expendable, which I like. Fuck, in the first 20 minutes of the movie, Captain Boomerang fucking dies. It shows how risky this movie is going, considering the fact that Captain Boomerang is considered to be one of the main 4 of the Suicide Squad. He's considered to be one of them 4 iconic ones. Those 4 being Deadshot, Harley, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark. I really like that they killed him as it helps increase the tension for the rest of the action scenes. I was expecting Bloodsport, Harley Quinn, King Shark, Ratcatcher 2, Peacemaker, Polkadot Man, Captain Boomerang, and Rick Flag to make it out alive. But some of those didn't exactly happen. I like this as it highlights the expendable nature of the Suicide Squad. Hell, we even see people who work for Amanda Waller betting on who will survive and who will not for money. And even though a lot of the characters die, a fair amount of them get a decent amount of development. One of the biggest surprises for me was Bloodsport. I wasn't expecting to like him, but I ended up liking him a lot. I was expecting him to be another Deadshot, however he wasn't. People say he's basically another Deadshot because, oh, he's the leader of a squad and he has daughter motivations, when that's so bare bones. Deadshot's motivations was that way he could see his daughter again, and Bloodsport's was to help his daughter out of a court case. If you say they're the same character, then you're just a fucking idiot. I also really liked his rivalry with Peacemaker and how they constantly tried to one-up each other. It resulted in a really cool scene in the climax. This brings me on to Ratcatcher 2. She is definitely the heart and soul of the film, and I loved her backstory about her father. It really helped with Bloodsport's development as well, and him kind of learning the responsibilities as a father. She's clearly the heart and soul of the film, and this is obvious due to a lot of the interactions that she has with characters. For example, how she befriends and finds sympathy for King Shark, even though he just tried to eat her. Honestly, a lot of the interactions between her and King Shark were my favorite parts of the movie. It also helps that they're the first 2 characters in the movie who see themselves as friends to each other. By the way, King Shark is absolutely perfect and I love him in every single fucking way. Next, I want to talk about Peacemaker. I love how early in the film he establishes that he will be willing to do anything for peace, however later in the movie we see just how far he will actually go for it. Even though he's not my favorite character in the movie, I'd say he's easily the best written. I also liked Rick Flag, which surprised the fuck out of me. I hated him in the original Suicide Squad, however here I loved him. He was willing to betray his country in order to give them the truth, which I fucking loved. This may be a bit of a stretch, but it reminded me of the stuff with Dr. Manhattan and Rorschach and Watchmen. Also, yes, I know Watchmen originates in a comic. I've read it. I'm just using footage because it's easier. I also really like Polkadot Man. I love the stuff with his mom because it was fucking hilarious when we get shots like these. I don't have a whole lot to say about him. I just liked him. Yeah, fuck you. Next thing I want to talk about are the action scenes. The action scenes are fucking awesome. I loved and enjoyed pretty much every single action sequence. My favorites were the beach battle and the little stealth part as well. I love the choreography, the cinematography, the use of powers, and especially the directing style. Which, by the way, we need to talk about. James Gunn put a lot of his directing style into this movie, and I fucking loved it. It's why stuff like the opening credits is one of my favorite scenes in the film. It's also able to deliver exposition in an interesting format. Which I'm glad, because without this interesting directing style, it'd make stuff like this really fucking boring. Anyway, I guess that's all I have to say about the Suicide Squad. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I love this movie so much, and although it's not my favorite James Gunn film, I still enjoyed it very much. I loved pretty much everything about it, and it's easily my favorite DCEU film. As for my score of the movie, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I liked it that much.